Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of our favorite Podcast with Rash. Please don't hesitate to visit our YouTube page on www.podcastwithrash.com. Like, subscribe, and share our content. These podcasts tend to chronicles the activities of immigrants from Cameroon, Zimbabwe, and Somalia in UK and the city of Coventry to be precise. We tend to talk to people to tell us their stories.
This is a podcast with Rash. Join me for this ride.
You are welcome to another edition of Podcast with Rash. On today's episode, I'll be talking with Mr. Rapheal in Tabong. He's a Zimbabwean and is here in the city of Coventry. Mr. Rapheal, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm called Mr. Rapheal Kematabo, and I live in Coventry and originally from Zimbabwe.
Okay. Mr. Rapheal, for how long have you been living in Coventry or in the UK?
I've been living in the UK from June 2014.
For the 9 years you've been in the UK, you've been in Coventry, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Coventry of today and Coventry of 9 years ago, any difference?
I would say Coventry of today and that of 9 years ago is a big difference, which is I think the job opportunities are not much as it used to be before.
Okay.
I think the reason being that a lot of people have come in to this country, and I think to some extent have slowed down the chances of having a job as desired.
Okay, so aside the job, is there another noticeable difference?
There's not only job, there's also things are very expensive compared to some say for 214, 215. And the houses are also more expensive compared to that time. And the transportation, food, everything is expensive.
On the other side, what can you say are the likely causes of these changes?
I don't know very much, but I think maybe because a lot of people have come to this country, and the chances, there are a lot of the things that the more people come in, the chances of having a job or having things easily becomes more difficult. You know, it's like we say the demand is more than the demand is high.
The demand is more than the supply.
The supply, yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Aside the fact that there is influx of more people, can you also say that the Brexit has contributed to the present problem in Coventry?
I would say that yes, and the reason being that the beginning when the Brexit the Brexit happened, let's say a year or so, a lot of people move out of UK, and less than a year, a lot of people move out of the UK, and there was a lot of opportunity, let's say job opportunities, and even housing was a bit more cheaper, and they could easily have a job because there was scarcity of workers. The demand of jobs was high, but now I think a lot of people are poor in again, and you could even see when you go out in town, and it's also made things much more difficult. I mean, having a job or having even a house, everything is very expensive, and it's scarce to have a job now. It's difficult to have a house or if you want to rent, so it's a lot of challenges.
Okay, thank you very much, Rapheal. That's on the latter side, but our main area of concentration today will be on your journey so far, because I know you are from Zimbabwe, and back there in Zimbabwe, you have your culture, you have your religion, you have your way of life, you have the way you do your things on a daily basis. And today, you are in the UK. For the past 9 years, you've been in the UK.
definitely there must be one or two changes, either positive or negative, that we've noticed. Can you please tell us the noticeable changes you've witnessed since you came into the UK? How has it been coming from back home in Zimbabwe to a new country, to a new city with different culture, with different belief, with different norms? So how has it been? How has it been? What can you say has been your experience so far when you came in respect of, let's talk about religion, for example?
Yeah, yes, when I came here 9 years ago, 2014, I saw a lot of changes like for religion. People don't go to church as compared to us in Africa, part in Zimbabwe where I come from. I make sure I go to church every Sunday. When I go to church, it's not as full as when I used to be in Africa. So I don't know, but I would like to think that a lot of people here are not so much religious. So that's what I noticed.
They're not religious.
Yeah, because when even I go to churches, I don't see a lot of people. I just see very few people. And then if I met some people on the way on town, when I discuss about religion, it's like some people don't even give more attention.
Okay, but Mr. Raphael, what you just said, some of the persons I've interviewed in other episodes of this documentary, they've always hinted on religion. But come to think of it, with our presence of churches, mosques, and other religious bodies in Africa, compared to the low turnout here in UK, but we still have massive development here in the UK. Unlike Nigeria that has so much religious people with more level of poverty. So what do you think is would you rather choose to be in a place where where they are not religious but they are getting it right? Or you prefer a place where they are religious and are getting it wrong?
I would say I prefer a place that there is no more religion and they get it right. Because at the end of the day, you need to live your life. You can't only depend on religion. You also need to have your well-being and welfare. So that is what I'm saying.
Oh, so you prefer a place where there is less religion, less religious people, but they have structure and the country is working, the place is working?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Most of us in Africa, we have our indigenous food. We have our indigenous delicacies, our cuisine that we eat that is so dear to us. And when you travel out of your country to a strange land, to a foreign land, sometimes it's difficult for you to access those particular foods, those particular delicacies. And there are some people, they find it difficult adapting to new foods. Like my younger brother, does not eat bread. He hates eating anything that has to do with powder, does not eat meat pie. And in the part of the world where he is now, most of their food, they use powder. So he spends most of his money on African food, which is quite expensive. So I want to know your story, sir, about food.
I prefer most African food, and because they are really spicy. But another problem is if African food is quite expensive. If you go to the market to buy African food, you won't come back with less than without spending about £50 if you really want to buy something substantial. So and it also costs a lot of gas if you want to cook African food because it stays long on fire. So at the end of the day, it costs a lot of energy to cook it. And yeah, that is it.
Oh, okay. But which do you prefer?
No, I prefer African food, of course. I prefer African food. I don't know maybe because since I grew up eating this kind of food, it is very difficult for me to switch and start eating, let's say, British food or any kind of food. And actually, also, I don't really like canned food. I don't really enjoy food from supermarket. I prefer to cook at home.
On a daily basis, like how many times in a day, how many times do you eat British food or African food?
Yeah, maybe I can eat like once a week.
You eat British food once a week?
Yes, I can eat once a week, but something, if I say breakfast, yes, I eat eggs, do fried egg. I also eat a lot of bacon, not a lot, sometimes once in a week. I eat bacon, I eat sausages, yes, stuff like that.
Oh, so you eat more of African?
Yeah, I eat more of African food.
Okay, your African food that you eat here, how do you get them?
I buy most of them in the open market, Coventry market.
Oh.
And also, there are some stores out of the market in town where they sell mostly African food. So when I go to town, I also buy it when it's not market.
When you eat the African food you buy here, when you prepare them, you eat. Can you compare the taste to the ones you eat back home? Any difference?
I don't think so because it depends how you spice it. If you spice it well, you know how to cook it, and you got all the spices or all the ingredients, I think there's no difference. Certainly, be the same. It just depends how you prepare it. So at the end of the day, it still becomes the same.
There is somebody I interviewed last week. He mentioned something about freshness. He said most of the things they get here, sometimes they are not fresh. They need to preserve them. And the weather does not also help, Now most times what they get here, they are not fresh like it used to be back home. What's the reaction to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's like it's just let's say let me compare it to canned food. Things that come straight from the farm or from the garden, and they always taste much more fresh and it tastes much more better than that has stayed for long. So it's not 100% the same. Like let's say when I'm in Africa and I eat something that just comes from the garden or from the yard, it tastes more better than these things are imported right from Africa or South America. So it takes long to get here. And when it gets here, it can't taste 100% like it's just coming from the garden or from the farm.
Okay, so there will be some changes.
Sure, yes.
But they are manageable.
They are manageable, yeah.
Okay.
The changes are not that much significant. It's not much big deal, yeah.
And I want to take it more personal now. Do you live here in Coventry with your family?
I live alone. I share, but I share.
You live alone without your family?
Yeah.
Your family, are they in the UK or they are back home?
No, my family back home in Zimbabwe.
Why did you refuse bringing them here to stay with you here in the UK?
It's very hard to live here with a family. So I prefer to stay there because it's very hard. It's more expensive. It's tough. So I made the decision for them to stay there for these main reasons.
But how often do you visit them?
At least twice a year.
Twice a year.
Twice a year, yeah.
And you don't miss them, or you find it easy seeing them just twice a year, or it's something you struggle to meet up with, or you miss them?
No, I think it's okay. I don't have a big problem. That twice a year is not bad. If I can see them, let's say in every six weeks, I think it's okay.
6 months.
6 months, sorry. If I can see them every six months, I think it's okay.
Okay. Is there any possibility of you going back home someday to live with your family fully?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Like, when are you looking at?
I'm seeing myself like 5-10 years. I should go definitely.
In 10 years' time.
Yes. I can come here for a visit. I will probably spend most of my time back in Zimbabwe.
In your country. Okay. When you look at your journey here so far, and when you want to go back home, or even when you're not going back home, but what are the things you will likely want to take from here and experiment with it in your country, or the things you like your country to imitate here?
Yeah, it's a lot. Say, for example, infrastructures. I like the infrastructures here. I like the health facilities, the hospitals and clinics. And the management here absolutely is quite different from that of our country. People stick to time. People work very hard. People know what they are doing. Everybody contributes to the society. People do a bit of what they can.
It's good when you're talking about the positive, talk about the negative. When we started, we're talking about the things you don't like, the negative, So now you see have some very good points, very good things you like your country to emulate from these people. Okay, if you are to advise the British government, for example, on how they treat immigrants, how they relate with immigrants, or if you are to be the prime minister for one day, what is that major decision you will make for immigrants in your country, especially those from Africa?
To be respected, to be engaged, to make sure you engage with them and try to know exactly what they think and what they want, because at the end of the day, people have different culture, the way behavior is different. And people also here, British people, some of them are not well knowledgeable on things that happened in other parts of the world, especially in Africa. So if I were in the position of the authority, I would make sure they educate them more, because knowledge is power, as they say.
Yeah.
When people don't know things, they don't know how to deal with that. So yeah.
When you came into this country, what was the biggest challenge, or what are the challenges you faced initially before you settled in? Mr. Rapheal, when you came into this country newly, what can you say was the greatest challenge or the major challenges that you faced as an immigrant?
I don't think I faced a lot of challenges, because I came here already with my passport. I could work, I could go to work, I could have a job. So I registered for NI, National Security. So when I got it, I applied for a job, and it didn't take too long, about a week or two. So I started a job.
And was it the kind of job that you like? Or you just say, okay, because I'm new, let me just do...
Yes, it wasn't really, but since I just wanted a job, I think I was doing warehouse. I was working in the warehouse that time, yes.
So how long did you work in the warehouse?
I worked in that warehouse for a year.
Yeah.
Yes, then after that, I decided to change the job. I had to move to do hair care.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And most people here, when they come into a country, because of bills piling up, they want to do any available job just to make sure they meet up with their bills. So after some time, that is when they say, okay, let me fit into one particular sector that will give me a better life and something like that.
That's true.
Okay, so far so good. When you look back at your journey, any regret?
I don't think so at the moment. I haven't seen any regret.
You've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, sometimes the only thing I can say is sometimes if your job gets finished, or maybe you lost your job, as I can say, maybe you need to look for another job. Those are the problems. And then in care sector, it's very difficult, because you need to do a lot of paperwork. You need to do DBS, police check, and you need to file references. So it's very difficult to just switch from one care job to another.
Okay, how is it possible for an immigrant to just come into a country to secure such a job?
I think the most important thing is if you have your document ready. What I mean by document is you're legally able to work in this country. Okay. You just need to have the right source. You need to get the right contact. If you have, go to agency where they provide jobs, or if you have a friend that knows where they work, where you can have a job, or that works with a company, maybe they need some more staff, your friend can bring you to his boss, his or her boss. So those are some of the ways that, or you can also go to, for example, work at the job center and register there. They can also help you to apply for a job or build your CV.
Okay, there's this question I would like to ask you. Though your case is quite different, because when you came in, you came in as a European citizen, and you have your right to work and every legal documentation you needed in this country.
Yes.
But what can you say? How can you describe the relationship with the British people or the people? How do they relate with migrants?
Yeah, the thing is, it depends. People are all different in any part of the world. People are quite different. Everybody is not the same. Sometimes you can meet good people. Sometimes some people can be very difficult to deal with. But generally, if you ask me that, what percentage can I give? I would say maybe 60% of the people can easily cooperate, can easily deal with you. You can deal with them with no big problem. But the 40%, they are more challenging. It's hard to deal with them. I don't know why. Maybe because of lack of knowledge. It's all because lack of not integrating with people from other parts of the world.
So far, how would you describe it in one sentence? Will you say it's encouraging, or you say that a lot needs to be done, or a lot is being done already?
We still need to do some more. We need to do more. We have to improve more.
On the level of hospitality.
Of interaction, hospitality, yes, stuff like that.
So if you are to advise somebody from Zimbabwe that tells you, sir, thinking of relocating to the UK to start a new life, I need your advice. What advice will you give that person?
I will give that person that, yes, you can come to UK, but it's not so easy the way people think because it's tough. And the most important thing you have to think of is your documentation. Because coming to UK without having your paperwork, the passport or legal document to work is very difficult. So it's something to think to. And some people think that everything is so easy and so good here. No, it's not true. It's also tough. It's also tough. It's not everywhere is tough. Then you need to work hard, you know.
If you say it's tough, is it as tough as it is to be back home?
Of course not. I don't think so. Personally speaking, I don't think it's as tough as being back home. It's always better here, to be honest.
So you still advise the person to?
Yeah, if you can, but you also know that it's not easy the way people think. If you are coming, prepare yourself. And again, much more easier and it's much more better here compared to back home.
And there is this issue that most of the crimes being perpetrated in Coventry, when you investigate, you realize that they are not being committed by British people, but by immigrants. What can you say about that?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why they do that, because I think one of the reasons is because some of them are not well educated. Some of them also come from broken homes. And I think some of them are just being carried away because they think that because they are in Europe or they are in UK, I have my rights. I can do what I want. Sometimes that's what they think. The police will take care of me. They can't do me anything. You know, so I think that is why some of them just do what they want, to commit crimes and don't respect the rule of law because they think that at the end of the day they won't do me anything. Who come from other parts of the world to UK also have to know that there's authority here. They have to respect the rules of the country. And then just being honest too, that the British people, of course, if they see things that people are doing, let's say people from outside of the country are doing, that is not right. Of course, it's all the right to get angry or to be upset. It's because I think that if everybody does a good thing, do things in a normal way, follow the rules of the country, do things that is expected. If you don't do anything wrong, I don't think anybody will come after you. People will respect you just as you respect yourself.
What people of Coventry, what they are tolerating from immigrants in respect of crime, do you think back home in Zimbabwe, if we have British people perpetrating such crimes in Zimbabwe, will you people accept or accommodate them with that crime like they are accommodating Africans here with the level of crime Africans are also committing in this country?
Oh, well, it just depends on who is in charge of controlling who's in charge of the government or the charge of the authority of that particular area.
No, not about government. I'm talking about general perception from the people.
Yeah, if it's general perception, I think some people, of course, majority of the people will not like it. Majority of the people will not like it. They say, but you can't do this. Everybody needs to follow the rules of the law. So I think people will not appreciate that back in Zimbabwe. They won't like it.
So generally, you see the people in Coventry here, they are fair enough.
Of course, on my opinion, they are fair. Nobody would like those kind of things. Put yourself in that shoe. You won't like it. If it's me in that shoe, I wouldn't like it because normally, if you go to any place, people expect you to follow the rules of the land. It's just being fair, you know.
Let's go on a short break.
This is a podcast with Rash. Join me for this ride.
So many people are listening to this podcast, so they will definitely learn a lot from all we'll be saying, you know. So lastly, in 30 seconds, I want to ask you this question. Do you think if you have the opportunity of raising a family again, you want to start, let's assume you want to start a new family now. Do you think raising a family in Coventry is better or raising your family, your kid in Zimbabwe? Which will you suggest? Which will you choose? Which will you prefer?
I would say raising my children here in UK or in Zimbabwe, I'm somewhere in the middle because it doesn't really make any sense where you raise your children. At the end of the day, it depends on the parents. So for me, environment is not a lot. Maybe it may be helpful, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is your parents, the parent of these children. So that's what I would say.
So you can raise them anywhere. It is how you raise your children that matters,
Yes.
not where you raise them.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rapheal.
You're very welcome, sir. You're welcome.
And I hope you will oblige when next we call on you to feature on our podcast today.
Yes, trust me, I will be there.
Thank you very much for joining us on today's episode. Please don't hesitate to follow us on our YouTube channel, www.podcastwithrash.com. Like, share, and comment. Thank you very much. See you again same time next week. Bye.
This is a podcast with Rash. Join me for this ride.